that. Look what happens to number 3, 14. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan for the corn which they bought. They had to buy the corn. You notice this? And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And if you notice, when money failed, get a hold of this, he's not saying the dollar bill, he's saying when money period fails. I look for every currency in the world to be wrapped up in this. When money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, Give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For money faileth. And Joseph said this, he said in verse 16, Give your cattle, and I will give you to eat for your cattle, if money fail. And they brought their cattle unto Joseph. Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses, flocks, cattle, herds, and asses. And he fed the people with bread, all their cattle for that year. This is very interesting. Now look in verse 18. We're going to go on to the next year. It said, And when the year ended, they came unto him in the second year. And he said unto him, We will not hide it from you, my Lord, how that our money is spent. My Lord also hath our herds, our cattle, and there's not aught left in the sight of my Lord. Our bodies and our lands. Wherefore we shall die before thine eyes. Why should we? Buy both of us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants unto Pharaoh. And give us of your seed that we may live and not die. I want you to notice a little something. They say the money is failing today. We know the dollar is just it's nothing. It's just something that they print up on paper. It has no value, really. It can buy you some things here and there, but really, the day they can take money out of your account anyway, it don't really matter. If you get too much money and they don't like you, they just take a little mouse and highlight it and click it off and you're done. But anyway, the idea here goes to this. We can say money definitely will fail before the second year of tribulation. And I'm talking about all money. Money won't do you any good. People that's hiding their money today and they're saving it and they're afraid. Let me tell you, I could go into preaching a little bit about that, but this is not the time. The psalmist said, I once was young, now I'm old. I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. Money can't help you in hard times, my friend. This is why you need God. Money can't help you in hard times, but God can. People today, they're not tithing, they're not serving the real people preaching the Bible, but they'll send all their money to Joel Osteen and Joyce Meyer and T.D. Jakes and people like that, and Creflo Dollar with his $65 million jet. You know, and those kind of people, and the Jesse Duplantis, because he'll make you laugh. But preaching the Bible is a little different story. If you notice, this is a very good understanding of what is going to happen in the first part of Revelations, chapter 6. Before the first year is out, all money will fail. You'll find out a measure of wheat for a penny, 3 measures of barley for a penny is going to be apparently a day's wages. Let's talk about the people that will be saved there for a minute. I've never heard anybody talk about this in this way before. In Genesis 47, if you notice what he said here, I thought this was interesting. He said in verse 49, both we and our land, buy us, both we and our land for bread, we and our land. Notice they've already lost everything else. If you know what Agenda 21 is, then you can understand this. Agenda 21 come from the United Nations. They want to take everything that you've got. They're going to take all the land. You won't own anything. If you don't take the mark of the beast, you can't even pay your taxes. If you're taking a check from the government, you'll not get that check either, but unless you take the mark of the beast, because you have no account to take your account. Well, you got to have an account. So what do? You got to take the mark. You got to become a part of their system. It talks about in Revelation chapter 13. Let me tell you how to become a part of their system. Revelation chapter 13. And now I'm going to come back here. I'm just briefly doing this for the people that don't follow our ministry totally all the time. We'll give them a little idea of what we're talking about. The Bible said in verse 17 that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. One way you've got to get into his system. The number of his name is 6. Do you know who that is? That's people that's not saved. That's the man that was created in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. He is made on the 6th day. In chapter 1, verse 26, you can verify it. Follow the number 6 all through the Bible, and you'll find out that man has to be saved, born again, that natural man with a sin nature cannot be a man of God. He's a hypocrite. His nature is of lust. His nature is of his father the devil, Jesus said in John chapter 8. So, you can be one of those that's rejecting the truth right now, and you'll find out why the time is coming whenever you will wish that you had been born again. Notice what he says. Give you a little bit of indication. The Bible said in 2 Thessalonians, we know that book very well, verse by verse almost. It says that if you don't receive the truth, what is the truth? The truth is that Jesus is the Son of God and that His blood was shed for the sin of mankind. The value of His blood was so great that it can save as many as that call on the name of the Lord. Nobody can tell you the value of His blood. He can take you up and pull you out of the miry clay and make you a king. That's what Hannah said in Samuel chapter 1, 2. You'll find out that His blood was so great. But anyway, the ideal is here, these people have power in verse 17. They'll call down, they'll do miracles, and people that did not receive the knowledge of the truth, according to 2 Thessalonians 2, they will believe everything they do. Verse 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. You know what that is? I'm going to show you the image of the beast. Go with me to Daniel chapter 3 now. Hold your place here in Revelations and I'll come back. I'm still going to talk about those people that can be saved in this time, so don't let me forget that. But Daniel chapter 3, I'm going to show you how to put this together. People should really like this book that's called our Bible. If you believe it's our Bible, say amen. Now notice what it says. Here's going to tell you what the image is. Nebuchadnezzar, in verse 1, the king, made an image of gold. An image of gold. And the height was 80 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. And he set it up in the plains of Dura, the provinces of Babylon. And that's where they had the Tower of Babel at, from Genesis 11. Notice what this is. 80 cubits high. If you measure this by the ancient Egyptian measurement, 21 inches. What is 60 times 21? Everybody that studies prophecy with us will know that's 1,260. 60 times 21. Measure it on your calculator. I was down there praying one day and the Lord told me to grab a calculator, and I grabbed a calculator, measured that, and automatically I began to laugh. Notice what it means. It means this: when you see a number like that in the head of a story, or in the middle of a story, or at the end of a story, any way it's applied to that, you know that that number means this story has something to do with the 42 months that is to follow. Are you here? So this is how you can get some interpretation of Bible prophecy. Notice what it says. He set up this golden image. Verses 2 and 3. Here's the deal that we're facing right now. Young men that believe everything they hear from protecting our country. How am I supposed to do this like this? From protecting our country, look what it says in verse 2. Nebuchadnezzar the king sent together the princes, the governors, captains, judges, treasurers, counselors, sheriffs, rulers of the province to come to the dedication of the image of the Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. I love our policemen here. Some of them are great people. I have one of the greatest friends I ever knew. He was a policeman in Chicago. He was a Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs in a big part of administration. He's 80 years old now, retired. He spent 32 years in the services of the government in one way or the other, whether state or federal. So I know some great policemen have even given their life for this country. But at this end time that we're talking about here, all of these people are going to have to bow down. Verse number 4, look at this. The herald cry aloud. To you it is commanded, this is not an option, of every people and nation, languages, that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, you shall fall down and worship the image, the golden image of Nebuchadnezzar. He that falleth not down shall, what? The same hour be cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. That for what time when you hear the sound, you better fall down. Look what it says. All the people, the nations, and the languages. From Revelation chapter 17, verse 4, we find there's a scarlet-colored beast. It's a religious government. The beast is riding a scarlet-colored, which is a beast, but it has the color of blood. The religious woman, who's the whore of Babylon, that we just read to you there where this image was set up, is set up there because that's where all the evil spirits originated from, according to Genesis chapter 11, when they had the Tower of Babel, which came from the 9th chapter in the 22nd or 23rd verse, when Ham had sex with Noah and sodomized him, and then came forth the curse on Canaan, and Canaan begot Sidon and Nimrod, and those are the two characters that are in Genesis chapter 11. They're the ones who were behind Sodom and Gomorrah. Anyway, I won't spend any more time on that, but to say this, if you notice the 42 months was here. This is what's going to happen. In the 42 months, you're going to see a political scheme. You're going to see people that are worshiping the golden image. Anybody in all the nations, he said, that don't bow down and worship that will be cast into the fire. You know what it said in Revelations? It says this, in Revelations 13, whosoever, verse 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast, that they should be killed. If you see that, say amen. This is plain. This is our Bible. I'm not making this up. Amen? Now, we'll give you another one, just so that you understand this properly. Last week I talked to you about Balaam. I talked to you about a man that had some problems that pointed to the 42 months. If you all knew how I pointed to the 42 months, let me see your hands. Anybody don't know it? Okay, turn with me to Numbers chapter 23 and I'm going to show you quickly. I'm going to show you why that we are living in such troublous times. We've already entered into this stage of the falling away of our church. We've already entered into this stage. You'll see the things I'm preaching about pointing to people today. Pointing to the preachers that are paying this great enormous money to get fame all over the United States. Not that God is going to lift them up, because God will exalt us in due time. You know when our time is? When we are at the judgment seat of Christ, when He makes us kings and priests to God forever. I mean, He's already made us that, but we will receive our assignment at the judgment seat of Christ. Nevertheless, there's great people in the world today that would give anything, whatever it is, just to be a famous person. You'll find out, I'm going to show you the two things that's motivating the church world today. 22nd chapter, Numbers. So I don't have to read all this, let me tell you what it is in verse 6. They wanted to buy divination. Micah said that they had bought Balaam They gave him money, and he wanted to come and curse Israel. He wanted to curse God's people. But he found out he couldn't do it. Look what it said in verse 6. Come now therefore, Balaam, I pray thee, and curse me this people, for they're too mighty for I, and perhaps I shall prevail, that we might smite them, and I'll drive them out of the land. For I heard, he whom thou blessed is blessed, and he whom thou cursed is cursed. And the elders of Moab, this is what they told them to do. And the elders of the Moab left of Midian, and they departed with the rewards of divination, in verse 7. They took the money. Rewards of divination is tangible money, something you can feel. Like Reverend Ike, he said, I don't want no pie in the sky. I want, mine down here, man. And he had the Rolls Royces and all of that stuff. And you got these guys like to drive Rolls Royces today. And, you got Fred Price. He said that Jesus and the disciples was rich. Or how else could, Judas have stolen out of the bag if there wasn't a lot of money? He stole it out of the bag and you couldn't tell it was gone. So he's using that lie. It ain't in the Bible. It's just a bunch of lies by filthy people that have so much lust in them they can't tell the truth. Do they know the Bible? Some of them know it for sure. And they use it against us. But anyway, that's the rewards of divination. But look what God said to Balaam in verse 12. Thou shalt go with them, not go with them, Balaam. Thou shalt not curse the people because they're blessed. But in verse 13 and 14, Balaam went back and told them. They went back home and told the people, said, look, I can't do this. But look what it said in verse 15. Balak sent yet again princes. Notice this. They're more honorable now. They're greater than the chief of state. They're probably right there in the White House with Mr. So-and-so. Anyway, he says, verse 16, and they came to Balaam, the second group of men, and said, look, Balak, the son of Zippor, he said, don't let anything stop you and hinder you from coming. He said, I'm going to promote you to great honor, and I will do whatsoever thou sayest. Do you hear this? A great people. This is the things that we're facing today. People are sold out to the government. They've sold out to foreign powers that's out of the power of God. And the biggest thing I learned out of this story is the fact that they keep on praying, they keep on praying, they keep on praying, and never missed a prayer, but yet they were turned over to a reprobated mind. Is that strange or not?